Hi everyone, it's time for an album review, and today we're going to be talking about the new Havukruunu album, Moonsorrow. This is the second album by Finnish black metal band Havukruunu. On their debut album Havukruunu, Havukruunu went for this very foresty style of pagan black metal. On this album they opt for a more serious tone with songs about nightmares and death. This can be seen pretty immediately with the change in the album art, where on their debut, the cover is of this druid-looking guy in the middle of a dark forest, and this cover, it shows someone who kind of looks like, the Grim Reaper, who is blowing a horn across this bare, ravaged landscape. Right from the start, you can tell that they're going for something more progressive and cinematic with this album. They introduce this album with a quiet acoustic part, and it builds in intensity, as opposed to just right at the gates, like going for something super intense like they did on their debut. This narrative style is very similar to the style of black metal that Moonsorrow play, except with a more raw production. The songs are a lot more stripped down and they don't use the folk instruments, and the songs are overall a lot shorter. Despite these strong similarities, this album comes off less as a clone of Moonsorrow as it does a different take on this style of black metal. From the guitars, you're going to find a lot of ferocious, fast-paced tremolo picking, along with significantly more soloing than was present on their debut album. The track Noidan Hauta has a very quiet acoustic passage in the middle. It gives a nice respite from the fast-paced intensity that you find across a lot of this. And the song Vaeltaja has a slow, plodding sound that is particularly crushing, but it builds in speed as the song progresses. The album even nods to progressive metal on some riffs, such as the intro riff on Mirskin Kutsuya, which is kind of reminiscent of 42147 from Nevermore's album The Politics of Ecstasy. As for the vocals, you're going to find your typical black metal shrieks along with some folky choruses, but every now and then the vocals take on this really pained and visceral sound, such as on Noidan Hauta, Vainayan Valot, and Veriku. These folky choruses are probably the weakest part of Havukruunu's sound. They sound a little strained sometimes, and they don't always fit great, like on songs such as Vaeltaja. The title track, Kelle Surut Soi, which uses them more than any other track, it's pretty hit or miss. However, these are done pretty well in the song Veriku, where they use these interesting rhythms and vocal melodies, and when they're not trying to actually sing a passage, when it's used more as just a vocalization, it doesn't really sound that bad. The focus on this album is definitely towards the riffs and the vocals. While the bass is definitely audible across the album, and it gets to shine a bit on Noidan Hauta, it mostly just follows along with the guitars. The drums don't really come to the forefront much. They usually play the two typical styles of drums you find in this style of black metal with the quick, ferocious blast beats. You also have a bit of that Bathory style, like epic Viking metal sound. However, there is a pretty interesting drum bit at the end of Veriku. This all kind of ties together on the final song, the title track, which immediately goes for a more atmospheric sound with a gorgeous acoustic passage and the sound of water and birds in the background. From there, it leads into all kinds of diverse and really powerful black metal passages and some really awesome soloing. It goes through this range of emotions, from beautiful soundscapes to this visceral, intense part. There's a lot of dynamics in the sound here. There are parts where the guitars create this big wall of sound, and then there are others where it gives the other instruments room to breathe and creates a lot of negative space. Overall, I was particularly impressed with this album. On their debut, they presented some cool ideas here and there, and it was fun to listen to, but it was pretty clear they were still trying to figure out what exactly they wanted to do. This album has a much more cohesive and focused sound than that, and overall, it's a really enjoyable, good listen. If you like the sound that Moonsorrow are known for, then you're absolutely going to love this album. If you like Moonsorrow, but you think that the song tracks are too long, then that's definitely a reason to check this out as well. If you're into black metal in general, you're going to like this. If you're not too crazy about this type of intense black metal sound, then this probably isn't going to do much for you. But overall, it's definitely worth a listen, especially the title track here. It's some really, really impressive songwriting. What did you think about this album? Were you a fan of the sort of ideas that Havukruunu presented here, or did you feel like it was a little derivative? I would love to know what you think. So, if you're into it, if you don't care for it, or whatever, you should leave a comment below and let me know what you think. All right. That's going to be it for this one. I'll see you guys next time.